All right, let's go ahead and get started. So today I'm going to do, I just want to cover a couple of little things on some showing time tips and tricks. Specifically, if you're, everybody right now, we have been inundated with listings. So there's a lot of listing activity out there. A lot of you are writing listings. I've reviewed a lot of your CMAs and your contracts and your listing agreements. So we want to talk about the things that you're likely to need to do as you're maintaining the listing after it's gone live. All right, so managing the showing activity, managing the feedback are all critical points of this, and there are some tools that are integrated into showing time that can help you do your job and do it much more effectively. So let's look at those. First off, everything I'm showing you today, you can do yourself, but you can also have the help desk do it for you. Okay, and the help desk will do a certain amount of it to a certain extent based off of the information that you provide to them. But everybody is very familiar with this screen. You should be able to see right down there the link to showing time that brings you to the screen that we should all be hopefully familiar with by now. But here's where you can enter your settings and your setup. Who here has had the challenge of, I'm a member of FMLS, I'm also a member of Georgia MLS. How do you manage both? Yes. Y'all have experienced that? Do you know that you can connect multiple MLSs? You can connect both of them to your showing time. Okay, so let me show you down here at the very bottom where you click on your name. Here's where you can go and you have your login information right here. And notice I have both First MLS and Georgia MLS connected into showing time. All right, that way you get the notifications for both. All right, which means you have to duplicate your settings if you're going to do them so that they're both in there twice. There's very simple instructions on how to do this, but you simply click that add profile button. You have to put in both your FMLS number and your Georgia MLS number, login and password, and it automatically connects everything together. All right. After you have done that, then if you go into your showings or your listing setup, I have things visible on here that you guys are not going to have visible. So these are just my listings. So you can search for all listings. If you have permission, you'll see everybody's listings, but more than likely, you're just going to be able to see your own. And these are the listings. And notice I have two right now, one in Georgia MLS, one in FMLS, that's land. And then this is the one that just went live Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember now. All right. So you can see them both and you can manage the activity on all of them by simply clicking on it here. And one of the things that I will tell you that I like to do right after the listing goes live is I don't want for me to be the conduit of information to and from my sellers. And you don't want that either. You're busy, okay? You need to set it up to where they get the notifications and they approve or postpone or decline the appointment so that you're not the monkey in the middle, all right? If you've ever been the monkey in the middle and you're in the middle of a showing or you're doing something and you've got 3 phone calls coming in and you're trying to manage all the balls hanging in the air, it's tough. So the thing that you need to do is add in your sellers in under add owner and occupant right down there. Put their information in, set the appropriate fields for them to get the text messages and the notifications when showings happen. Your clients are really savvy. The minute you put them in there, they're going to get a notice that says, here's how Jay Willard has set you up on a showing time account. Here's how you can go manage your account. And these particular clients are now looking at their own showing time app, which they've downloaded and put on their phone, and they're managing the calendar on their own. It's where I don't have to. That's what you got to do too, but you got to put them in there first. Okay? So you put them in there first. And then you can also set up restrictions using the tab at the very tippy top. So in my case, here's a perfect example of how you would want to use a showing restriction. My clients work from home. And although this is less than ideal from my perspective, and they didn't even mention this to me whenever we were initially talking about showing this house, but they're like, we can't show between 10 and 6:30, Monday through Friday. Yeah, that's a little tough, all right? So what you see is I have gone in and I have set up a showing restriction between 10 and 6:30. So now if somebody requests, they're not even going to be able to request a time that my client is going to have to decline. It will only present to them the ones that are during the times where they're available, okay? So notice I did 2 down here. I ended up 1 showing restriction Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Friday, they said they could do it until 2 o'clock. You know what? I need to change that. I got it wrong. So here's a perfect example. Instead of being 6, this is supposed to be at 2 p.m. on Fridays. And now you see on Fridays, I'm 10 to 2 instead of 10 to 6. Simple oversight, but very, very quick, very easy to do. Listing activity report, if you were in on the Zoom that I just did, we talked about this a little bit too. Listing activity report gives you all the information you need about your particular property and how many times it's been shown and what kind of feedback that you have gotten. You can see the showing activity that you got, the number of appointments. You can see any feedback that they have answered right there and whether or not you have published it to your client or not. If you don't have your client entered in as the seller of the property, then you can't share this with them, all right? Feedback on your listing is very, very critical. It tells you if you're doing your job right or wrong. And I don't want to be the filter for that feedback. I don't want for them to hear it through my interpretation of what the seller is saying. I would rather them get it straight from the horse's mouth. And sometimes the horse's mouth can be a little bit hard. For example, did they like the price? Too high, rate the exterior average, rate the interior style look and overall dimensions, did not like floor plan, okay? That's the kind of stuff that my client needs to hear because it may affect their pricing ultimately. All right, and if I had been the one to communicate that, human nature is you don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Okay, so you might temper those kind of comments just a little bit. You don't want those comments tempered. You want them to get it straight from the horse's mouth. And sometimes you even have to coach them to be, hey, you gotta grow a tough skin because these people are going to be brutal, but it's good feedback and we need to hear it. All right. So those are some great little tips and tricks. You can actually email this report. You can use this as the evidence for when you are going to them and approaching them about a price adjustment. You can talk to them about the criteria that when you list the home, 3 to 5 showings per week, 10 to 15 showings, we should be getting an offer. If you're not meeting that criteria, you can measure that very quickly by looking up there and seeing how many you got. Steven.
Are those set questions always the same, or can you change them depending on what kind of property you have?
So glad to hear you say that. You can change them. You have the ultimate flexibility. It will automatically default to the same 4 questions that you've probably answered a million times. I have got my listing set up for all of mine. I'd use a different form, and I'll show you what it looks like, and I'll show you how to do it. So if you notice the feedback form right there, you can select the template that you use. And in my case, I've created my own template and it's in there. And let's go over here and we'll talk about feedback and form design and settings. And here's where you can create your own form with whatever questions you want. They could either be multiple choice, they could be text, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Got it? And if anybody's interested, I can print these questions out so that you can then go in and create your own feedback form if you would like. Okay? Any questions? That's all I got. Kept it to 10 minutes, everybody. Let's go.